Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of UA Eats. I'm UA and I am still in, as you can see behind me, I am still in Toronto, Canada, and I am having a great time here. I am truly having a blast. It's a great city. It's super clean, for the most part super safe, and it's very walkable. Lots of cool little shops and restaurants and lots of business everywhere, and a really cool place. And it kind of reminds me, because of how walkable it is, it kind of reminds me of sort of like a bigger Philadelphia, like a bigger and cleaner and more bustling Philadelphia. So really cool. But anyways, the reason why we're here is because I'm not Canadian. I came here from the New York, New Jersey area. Gotta get some tourist activity in. So I don't want to hit Toronto without seeing the CN Tower, once the largest tower in the whole world, or not largest, once the tallest tower in the whole world, although that was then, I think, relatively quickly surpassed, and then that was surpassed again. And it's always like an arms race between countries as to who wants to lay claim to tallest building in the world. But anyways, not only are we going to be hitting up the CN Tower, I mean, this is UA Eats, not just a travel vlog. So when I found out that there's a restaurant at the top of it called 360, called 360 because it rotates, it rotates 360 degrees so that it's like a rotating restaurant, To me, at first glance, this seems like just a tourist trap thing, but actually the reviews of this restaurant are actually pretty good, and some people have, genuinely recommended this restaurant for pretty good food. So, we're gonna do one of these vids. We're gonna see if the 360 rotating restaurant at the CN Tower is a tourist trap or if it's legit. So let's check it out. Oh, cool.
And the restaurant is located at 115th level, or about 351 meters from ground. This is the southeast side of Toronto.
Are my ears gonna pop?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
But yeah, just yawn or pretend to swallow, then it should help with ears popping. We get it here all the time.
Sure.
And soon you'll have the view of Lake Ontario a little bit over to the right side there.
Okay. Over here?
Yeah.
Oh, that's beautiful. Well, too bad it doesn't look as good on the camera as it does in real life.
Yeah.
That's why I gotta come here in real life.
And then after your lunch, you can head down to the main observation level and the lower glass floor. They're both 1 floor down the staircase only.
Okay. And the restaurant comes with like a observation deck?
Yeah, so the restaurant, it's a complimentary access for the main observation and lower glass floor.
Excellent.
The lower glass floor, which is underneath the, which is 1 floor down the main observation, that one has the original glass floor CN Tower, as well as the Elder Terrace, which is now open.
Oh, looks like we're here.
Yes.
That wasn't so bad at all.
Yeah.
Okay guys, we are inside of 360 Restaurant, the restaurant at the top of the CN Tower, and it's pretty nice on the inside. Like, it definitely is not like one of those tacky, tacky tourist restaurants. At least the appearance of it is, it's really beautiful on the inside, like really sleek. There's beautiful views of Toronto and the restaurant spinning. Hey, look, you can see this pillar spinning right behind me, right? I was kind of afraid that this was gonna give me like motion sickness, but so far so good. I'm kind of sensitive to motion sickness, but so far not too bad. Anyways, you get beautiful views of Toronto as the restaurant spins, and not only the downtown area, but look, we're even coming up on Lake Ontario now, so really cool. Anyways, just for the view alone, this was definitely kind of worth it, I think. I mean, it was expensive, but if the food is good, that'll be great too, but the view alone makes this a pretty breathtaking experience. Let me show you the menus we got. So I don't really drink, but just gonna show you quickly the wine menu here. Just briefly showing you some of their wine selections. Like I said, I am not the right person to ask about wine. It looks like they have all sorts of imported wines and probably domestic, yep, and domestic wines. Very interesting to see United States as like an imported wine, but I guess we're technically in another country here in Canada. And some cocktails as well. Life goes on. That is a good mantra. I want to show you some of the other menus. There's two menus. There's their lunch menu here, and the server explained to me, I asked him what the difference was. He said it's not just cheaper, but it's smaller portions. So he said it's a pretty good deal, 65 Canadian dollars, but you get 3 portions, all those smaller portions. So these all look pretty good, but it's not every day that we're in Canada, in Toronto. So let's take a look at their main menu here, and let me show you. This is their prefix menu, which I think we're going to zero in on. Just to clarify, you do need to spend at least $75 here, 75 Canadian dollars, but it's not really too bad. It might be a little bit difficult if you get the lunch special, 65 bucks, but you won't have a problem if you do the 2-course, $75 2-course. Although I think I might do 3-course just because we're filming a vid and we want to have more stuff to review. So they got some salads, they got some soups. All of these look good. I don't know what I'm feeling. I might ask for a recommendation from the server. For the mains, I don't see steak. I saw someone behind me eating a delicious steak, but I don't see steak included in the prefix menu. Although they have some other solid options as well, like salmon and chicken and tofu, and the closest they have to steak is prime rib. I'm not the biggest prime rib guy personally. I much prefer steak. I much prefer that crispy sear on a steak. And the 15 bucks supplement is definitely makes it less enticing. And then they have pork tenderloin, and I'm not as big of a fan of pork, or at least I'm not feeling it today. So you know what, let's do salmon. Salmon, when prepared well, can be delicious. I make salmon quite often at home. It's delicious, it's healthy, it's good for your brain particularly. So let's do salmon and dessert. These all look good, so maybe the server will have something for me. And then otherwise, just gonna briefly show you what else they got. Seafood stuff, they have like all sorts of fancy stuff. They got like seafood towers, a lobster, a caviar and stuff like that. Charcuterie as well, oysters, and yeah, actually no, I've actually found their steaks here. Their steaks are over here. Pretty expensive, 95 Canadian dollars. I guess that might not be terrible, but not sure if they come with sides or not, but I'm guessing probably not. And then they got more appetizers here. So anyways, let's order. Let's wait for our server to circle his way back here.
What would you like?
Sure, let me do, I'll do the 3-course.
Yeah.
And I'll do, let's see.
So my recommendation, the tomato salad's great. The
Sure.
squid or the mussels.
The squid is good?
Squid's good. Like a grilled calamari.
Okay, I'll do the squid. And the salmon, that's like a pan-seared salmon?
Pan-seared, they'll finish in the oven too, but it's great.
Perfect, I'll do salmon. And then for dessert?
Really go wrong. The raspberry's really good. It's a nice, like, kind of light dessert. The terrine is a little bit rich, the dark chocolate. The almond cake is great too, and the tart, very light.
Okay, I'll do the dark chocolate terrine. Okay, sounds good, thank you.
We're drinking all, you okay with the water?
Water's good. Man, we've lapped Lake Ontario again, and it's so beautiful. I wish you guys could see. It doesn't look as good as it does in the camera as it does in real life. Just trust me, it is so beautiful and breathtaking. And the view of basically Canadian Midtown Manhattan, not bad either. Although, I guess that's a little bit more like Canadian FiDi. All right, our first course has arrived. Let me show you what we got, and it is not what I was expecting at all. So I was definitely, when he said a grilled squid, I was expecting like a, a smaller squid with the tentacles grilled and nice and charred and crispy, but this is interesting. Like I kind of said I was craving steak, as I often do on this channel, and this is like a seared steak, but just a huge hunk of squid, like, like I'm eating the monster from Davy Jones's Locker or something. Very, very, very cool. Looks beautiful and looks delicious, so let's dig in. Just such a huge squid. It can't have been easy to have gotten a hold of one of these. Let's dive right in. Wow, that was way better than I ever expected. Wow. I mean, I love squid, and to clarify, I know I said I have a shellfish allergy, but squid is a-okay, and I love squid and octopus. I was expecting some nice and crispy charred tentacles rather than like a flat steak, like a squid steak, and that was amazing. Hardly ever have anything like this, if not ever have anything like this, and it exceeded all my expectations. You know, I said steak, but it does kind of taste like steak. Like, it has like a smoky flavor, like the way steaks are cooked over charcoal to infuse smoky flavor. So it's interesting that I can like break this down like a steak in a way, like just for fun. Let's see if it has sear on both sides. It does! Look at that, grill marks on both sides. So it's crispy, it's nice and crispy, imbued with that smoky, like kind of like charcoaly flavor. Those seared bits are nice and crispy as well. Too often, steak and octopus are just like rubbery, like eating like erasers. Not pleasant, basically like a jaw workout. Just look at how tender this squid is. Like it doesn't, you know, obviously you still gotta chew it. It's still squid, but pretty tender. Like one of the more or most tender squids I've had. Delicious. Yeah, it's a little hard to cut. I wish they gave me a steak knife rather than a butter knife, but it's okay. It's okay, definitely doable. Because I learned from you guys that fine dining, well, I don't know if this would be considered fine dining, although it is a nice restaurant, but I heard from some of you guys that oftentimes the items are intended to be eaten together. Okay, I'm probably biased. I just don't really like olives, so I don't think it was the right call on my end to put the olive in my mouth, like with the squid. Yeah, the capers taste nice, and yeah, maybe this is just because I'm not the biggest fan of capers as well, but while they do taste nice, like they got a good texture, I don't think that the squid needs it at all. I think that the flavor of the squid is already good enough. Like, I mean, it's soft and tender, at least as soft and tender as you could expect squid to be. The wonderful grill marks infusing some, you know, texture, like some slight crispiness, while infusing that like charcoal flavor. Like when I saw the olive oil, I was afraid it was gonna be too greasy, but it's actually the perfect amount. It's not too much. It's enough to like add some extra kick to the squid and not have it be too bland. Wow, this is fantastic. On to the next course. All right, so our main course has arrived, the salmon. And yeah, I guess since we're spinning and the sun is kind of changing position, I guess the lighting is gonna be a little bit up and down throughout this review, but this is a pretty delicious looking salmon dish if you ask me. Oh man, they sure love capers here for whatever reason, but that is a crispy skin, looks like a perfectly crispy skin. Hopefully it's flaky on the inside, but still slightly, but not dry, hopefully slightly moist if you know what I mean, like a medium cooked salmon. Like salmon doneness is a thing. Too often at restaurants, it's all well done. And then they have some other things on the plate like artichoke hearts and things like that. But yeah, looking forward to this. Let's dive right in. Let's try to find that angle of attack. Guess that's good enough. Okay, let's check the doneness. Okay, that's looking pretty good. Pretty juicy, not too dry. Looks like they nailed the cook on this guy. All right. Delicious. That salmon, so moist on the inside. You know, it's nice and juicy, not dry, and I think they have good reason in restaurants how it tends to be dry because, you know, they don't want you to get sick, of course. Although I think with wild caught salmon, that's more of a risk. I think farm caught, the risk is pretty low. But I know it might look like a little bit dry from a certain angle, but just trust me, the inside of that is perfectly cooked. It's like I said, it's like a medium cooked salmon. Delicious, very, very juicy. My one gripe is that the skin is a little bit too soft, and you know, ideally you want the skin to be crispy like a cracker, and you want like crispy, almost like a salmon chip. And actually, believe it or not, in some countries, I think in like Southeast Asia, they actually sell salmon skin chips. I always felt like that was a great snack idea. They should do that here in the US. Or not, shoot, I'm in Canada, I forgot. They should do that in the West. So But yeah, this skin is a little bit too soft and, you know, not crispy at all, which is a shame because the cook is really good on the inside. And I guess I kind of get it. It can be difficult to get a crispy skin. I think when it comes to salmon, slow and steady definitely wins the race. You want to cook it skin side down, pat it as dry as you can, and just really, really slowly cook that guy until the outside gets crispy and the inside becomes nice and juicy and moist. But it can be tough to nail. I totally get it. So at least the flavor is spectacular. Like, it's really, really well cooked. Like, it's really well cooked, crispy skin aside. And you know, it's a fancy restaurant, so let's see if it's intended to be eaten with everything, with a lot of things all together, except for olives. You know, I don't really like the olives. So let's try this guy. Let's try this guy. I wouldn't say it necessarily all works well together. Kind of sort of tastes like a jumbled mess rather than everything working together in concert, but it's interesting. I mean, I do think the salmon kind of tastes better on its own, not covered up by all those ingredients, but I gotta say though, that this puree is delicious. It's buttery, it's creamy. This puree is both light and somehow creamy and light at the same time, which is an amazing achievement. Like, it's like the perfect accompaniment to the salmon. Like, the salmon, while delicious and perfectly cooked, the rubbery skin and the sort of lack of seasoning is a bit of a letdown, but when you eat it with the puree, it really kind of covers up some of the blandness. And yeah, overall this was fantastic, and decent portion too. Like, they got a lot for you on the plate, so not skimping on portion size either. So oh, that puree is great. Anyways, we're gonna eat more of this, dip it in lots of the puree, and now I'm excited for dessert. All right, so we got our last course, our dark chocolate terrine, and this looks pretty cool. Beautifully plated, first of all. I mean, it just looks beautiful. And you know, my knowledge of French cuisine is probably less than many of yours, but a terrine, I'm pretty sure, is more or less kind of like Spam. Like, it's like a meat loaf. So a dark chocolate terrine is kind of an interesting take on that. And in this case, you got dark chocolate, you got nuts, you got, let's say specifically what we got. Yeah, we got cherries, we got hazelnuts, spiced chocolate sauce. So this looks absolutely beautiful. Let's dig in before this whipped cream, you know, collapses. Okay, just cut right into this guy. Oop. Oh man. Ooh, this is dense. Look, it's like fudge on the inside. Okay, I thought it was gonna be, you know, more easy to cut, but that is dense. Almost looks like it's like a hard piece of chocolate, but I'm pretty sure it's kind of like fudge. So, to be honest, I'm not sure if the three-course meal was necessary at all. I'm getting really, really full. The last two courses were much bigger than I expected, so yeah, I'm pretty full, to be honest, but this looks delicious, so I'll make room for this. Ooh. Oh, that is decadent and creamy and thick at the same time. Wow. It sort of has the consistency of ice cream, but it's not ice cream. It's just like a, you know, it's just like a very, very thick chocolate, but a creamy one at the same time. Although I'm not really feeling the cherries. They're a little bit too sour. Oh, yeah, they're way too sour. Chase that with another piece of chocolate loaf. That definitely helps. Ironically, I kind of thought that maybe the sour cherries would offset the sweet chocolate, but here it's the opposite. Like, the sweet chocolate offsets the bitingly sour cherries. Let's try this end though, with the whipped cream. Ooh, baby, so rich and so decadent. The cream definitely helps to offset it, although some of the nuts are a little bit too hard, I think. Like the nuts, like you kind of have to really chew through them. You kind of have to really bite them apart in some parts. So yeah, some of them are not super easy to chew. But the chocolate tastes great, and as long as I'm eating parts without too many of the nuts, just eating the chocolate and the whipped cream, it's not bad. Very decadent, very heavy, but if you're in the mood for it, pretty good. And I'm kind of in the mood for that today, so everything worked out. Look at that. I mean, it's like eating like the smoothest fudge. Delicious. But anyways, this is usually where we end these videos, but actually we're not gonna do that here, because once we finish this up, eating here, you actually get a free ticket to the observation deck. So we're gonna check that out and then share final thoughts outside. All right, guys, so I just finished eating at 360 restaurant and also checking out the CN Tower in general. And yeah, I gotta say, guys, that was it was a great experience. That was truly one of the greatest restaurant experiences I've ever had. I mean, the food was good, but more importantly, the atmosphere, like it was a nice atmosphere. It was also good service, and just the views and just the rotating view of the city was just unbelievable. Like it was truly an unforgettable experience. And all in all, I really can't say anything bad at all about 360 restaurant. Like what's so amazing about this restaurant is if you eat at this restaurant, it actually more or less includes standard admission to the rest of the CN Tower. Like I mean, after you eat at the restaurant, you get to go down to the observation deck and you get to see pretty much everything that you would have seen had you just paid for standard admission. And standard admission is 40 bucks already, and to eat at the restaurant is 70 bucks. So yeah, I mean, it almost pays for itself. I mean, if you think about it, if you're gonna see the CN Tower, you're probably gonna eat beforehand or afterwards anyways, right? So in this case, it just kind of combines it together. Like instead of the $70, well, in my case, it was more like 90 bucks because, you know, I did 3 courses, but you really don't need to do 3 courses. I think I was already pretty full after 2 courses. The 3rd course was totally not necessary. So the $70 or $75 prefix will definitely be enough for you. But yeah, in this case, you know, you pay 40 bucks for admission and then about 35 bucks for the meal, and the food was good. Like, it might be one thing if it was like a tacky, low quality tourist trap restaurant, you know, and the food's not really that good, but in this case, I didn't think it was a tourist trap. I felt like the food was genuinely pretty good. Like, okay, was it the best food I've ever had? Was it among the best restaurants I've eaten at? No, but it was very good food. It was great food, and I thought it was definitely worth it, I thought. So if you're in Toronto, I really do think that this is a must experience. Like, I think you can't leave Toronto without eating at 360 and then checking out CN Tower afterwards. If anything, I felt like the view from 360 was even better than the observation decks. I mean, you know, once you see that incredible, slowly rotating view of the city, you go down to the observation deck and it almost feels like a downgrade. It almost feels like, you know, you're looking at downtown Toronto in like lower def, you know, because it's not moving. So definitely a great experience, and I highly recommend it. I can't say enough good things about this whole experience. So, but anyways, let me know what you think, of course. Of course, this is just my opinion. I mean, I felt like this was truly an incredible deal. Like if you're a tourist, it's a can't miss. Like you can't visit Toronto and not do this. Like do the restaurant and then observation deck combo. And if you're local, like if you live in Toronto or near Toronto and you've never done this, I think it's also a can't miss. You definitely got to do it. Like I've visited many cities before and I've gone to their, you know, famous skyscrapers, and yeah, to be honest, like you go up and you see the view, and yeah, it's cool, but it's pretty fleeting and you see it and that's pretty much it, right? Like I've seen Tokyo Tower, I've seen the Empire State Building, you know, I've seen all sorts of skyscrapers, the St. Louis Arch. Like if I had just paid for the standard admission and went up to the CN Tower and then, you know, all right, cool, like you see a bunch of Canadian Toronto buildings and that's it. But if you do the restaurant and then you do like the observation deck, it's a cool experience and I highly recommend it. I guarantee you're gonna have a great time. Unless you're extremely sensitive to motion sickness, but I'm even pretty sensitive to motion sickness and I didn't have a problem in the 360 restaurant at least, so at least that's just me. You know, your experience may vary. But anyways, guys, of course, this is just my opinion. You know, I had a great experience and I enjoyed the food and the whole experience as a whole, but what do you guys think? If you ate at 360, if you had a good experience or a bad experience, definitely let me know in the comments because great minds eat alike. And you know, as always, if you like my content, like and subscribe. That way you stay up to date whenever I post another video. And you know, I'm having a pretty good time in Canada. And you know, I'm an American tourist, so of course I gotta do some American tourist things. You know, I'm shameless. I'm not gonna pretend to be something I'm not. So I got me a Canadian flag. You know, I know basic, but I got me a Canadian flag from the gift shop. So feeling pretty good about this trip. Feeling pretty good about Toronto and Canada in general. So check it out. For about $1.50 US dollars, I got me this little super cheaply made Canadian flag. So yeah, I don't know. I'm pleased with my purchase. Oh, Canada, am I right? So anyways, gonna explore more of Toronto while we still have daylight. So until next time, I'll see you later.